Hi everyone, Angus Campbell here. Sunday the 14th of June 2020. So it's been well over a week now since we applied the liner to the A70 tank. So we're ready to go and give it a much longer test ride, and plates now on the back. And the problem is, though, that we're waiting for the weather, so it's not been very clever in the last week or so. Today's Sunday, originally supposed to be pretty good, and there we are with heavy showers, and it's raining now. So what I'm going to do is we'll go around each of the bikes and we'll do a quick update in the stable. And then what I'll do as well is I'll give you a preview by way of an introduction to a piece that I'm working on that gives you a bit of a potted history of the Bandit and Fury, and also what links these three examples here together, and how we came about them. So first of all then, let's get on with going around each of these and a quick update, and we'll begin with the A70 in the corner there. Right, off we go then towards the A70, and what I'll do is I'll do like a half yearly update, because some of you may remember that at the beginning of the year I did a quick stable update from the garage stall. So we'll do a half yearly update now and just compare that to what we were intending to do and some of the targets we had for this year. We're not done too bad, I think, but anyway, here we go. So first, the A70. This will be pretty quick, really. Just as I've already said, we lined the tank with flow liner, and it appears to have lined it very evenly, very well. So we're now ready to undertake a further longer test ride on this bike, and we'll take it out into the countryside, and I'll try and get some GoPro footage, not just of me wearing it on the chest harness, but also I'll set it up on the stand so I can do some run passes with it. And unfortunately the weather's not been clever over the last week or so, so I've not been able to do it. Apparently it might be pretty good tomorrow, Monday the 15th, but we'll have to see. Other than that, we've got a reg plate on there now. Won't say any more about where that came from. And the only other thing I'd like to have a look at some point is with the side stand. The side stand works okay, but it just leans over a bit too far for my liking. See, the Rocket 3 there is on its side stand. It's quite nicely upright, but well on its side stand. The A70, it leans over a little further than that, a little bit too far for my liking. So I'll just have a check to see whether that's because of the angle of the side stand mounting stub, or whether it's because the side stand itself is worn, or I haven't tightened up the bolt quite far enough. But anyway, nothing major. Other than that, nothing else to report. All ready to go, oiled up, not leaking oil, charged up, just waiting for me. Okay, Rocket 3, again pretty straightforward. Already been out for some runs on this this year. It's running pretty well. The only thing I've had to attend to is tyre pressures. The last time I was out, I was thinking that the handling felt a little odd, and I thought the tyre pressures were a little low, and God, they were very low. It's a bit remiss of me really, because I'm a bit of a stickler for that, because it's just amazing how much tyres can affect the handling, even if they're just a few pounds off the manufacturer's recommended settings. Well, I checked the tyres when I got home, and they're about half. So front 24, rear 28, and when I checked them, it was about 12 and 16. So that was my bloody stupid fault. But anyway, all well now. Motor's running well. It does sump its oil, this, and I've checked the oil return valve on it, and there doesn't seem to be anything wrong with it. But there must be a slight issue with the seat for the ball. But anyway, it's nothing we can't live with. It's not bad. It's just if it's stood for too long without being run. But other than that, that's all good. Bandit, you've seen quite a bit of this recently. So this is now all up and running and ready for a bit of a test on the road. But just lately, you've just been trying to ascertain how we might do that, because as you know, this isn't my bike. It's a friend's bike, Tony Page's, and I just undertook the final build some time ago by way of returning a favour from the point of view of sharing some of his spare parts and also pooling some of mine as well, so that we could get this Bandit finished and also make some progress on the SS at the back there. We'll come to that in a minute. But recently we've recommissioned it because we did pinch the Auto Advance unit to get some replicas made up. That's now done, so that's now those have now been reinstalled. The bike's timed up and running, and as I say, ready for a test. Behind that, the Fury Roadster show bike. All I've done with that really is clean it up, and that's because the main target for all of this lot was to have these shown together as the power set at Stafford in April, and obviously due to the pandemic issues at the moment, that was ultimately postponed to June and then August, and now has been effectively cancelled, in that they're going to amalgamate what was going to be Stafford in April with Stafford in October. So the plan now is to have all these at Stafford in the same stand in October. So as that event gets tied down and confirmed, then again I'll post details of the stand that I've already purchased for that, so we can actually display these. And then finally, the Fury SS build at the back there. So with the recent work we've done on that is finish the wiring harness, install the oil lines, and the big ticket item we're waiting for is the cylinder head. That's away at the moment, having valve seats inserted and some machining done for the valve guides, those inserted, and also then the bucket tappets. That's well underway, and I did go over to Ward's Engineering in Rugby, where that work's being done, to see Richard there on Friday and provide him with a copy of the original factory drawing of the tappet buckets, just so he could take the dimensions from those, which will assist them with machining effectively the bores for the tappet buckets. So that work's well underway, and when we get the head back, we'll have it ready to be installed. But then we've got to actually source some tappet buckets, and another friend that I'm collaborating with at the moment, who is also attempting to pull together a Fury, has commissioned an engineer to get some sets of tappet buckets made up. As I say, we've got all the engineering drawings and all the instructions with respect to hardening and three-stage machining, etc. So hopefully those are on the way too. So we're waiting for head for that, but also the other job that we've got to attend to is the high level exhaust, and what we're aiming to do is to replicate this one that's sorry, it's not a very good view from here, this one that's on the Bandit. If you'll compare this with the promotional and catalogue pics at the time, this unit doesn't quite faithfully replicate what's in those pictures, but it's very, very close, and we think this is one that came out of the factory that was on test at the time, and it is pretty good. So we're going to try and replicate that, but what we need to do is do a bit of fabrication, because what we need to do is replicate the fact that the silencers are 23 inches long, and trying to find, if you like, the right profile is just impossible. So the intention, by way of a separate video, is that I've got some what appear to be megas here, which are 23 inches long, but they don't have the reverse cone on the end. And I've also got some little reverse cone megas here which are far too short, but which have the correct end. And we think we can shorten that and add that cone on the end. And luckily for us, this cone is only screwed on, so we won't have to do any butchering of this unit, but we will have to do some butchering of that unit. And even though that's a mega though, it's got some really hefty baffling in there, which I think we can retain, whereas this little mega is straight through except for one little tiny baffle there. So I think that's going to work out okay. We've already got the pipes made up by Rustler Racing quite a long while ago, and you can see we've already got those black chromed, and they're a faithful replica of the Bandit pipes, so we know they're going to be okay. I have made a bit of a faux pas in that I had some mounting nuts tacked on to hold what will be the heat shield, the small end of it, because it goes that way around, that's right. However, and this was quite a long while ago that I had this done, before I realised that that's not going to work, because we've got to slide the clamp to the head from this end, and we can't slide it over now, that nut, so we're going to take that off, because the actual way that this is mounted is that you get a loop such as this to go over the pipe, and then we'll drill that and put mounting screws on that for the guard itself, and that's how that's roughly held in place at the pipe end. There are two fixed mounts for the silencer, which should have a nut tacked on like that, and then what we'll then get is, again, sorry, it's a bit of an awkward because the position of the bike, but what we'll then get is the guard mounted like that, and you can see then at the front end where it's held onto here via that loop through a screw and nut that clamp the guard to it, but then that screw is long enough to actually be an interference fit against the pipe, so that the loop's not vibrating and clanging all the time. So that's the way that I've done it on that, and that seems to work quite well. So that's where we're at the moment by way of a stable update. And if we think about what we were intending to do when I did the New Year update, then we wanted to finish the Lightning and get that roadworthy, which we've just about done. We wanted to finish the Fury SS, which we haven't done yet, but we've made some good progress on that. We wanted to recommission the Bandit and get that running, which we've done. So not too bad for this year. Now we just need to get a few more miles, certainly on the two 750s here, and get some footage on the road and do a bit of a test on them both. And also then we can, in parallel with that, we can plough on with the Fury SS, but I'm pretty confident now that the Fury SS will probably look like a complete bike, certainly by Stafford in October. And whether we'll have it running, I'm not sure, but I'm certainly confident we're going to be well on the way to that. So, all looking pretty good, and then we might be looking for another project. And as one or two of you have noticed in the background when I've been putting together some of the videos, there's been one or two clues, really, with respect to items that I've collected. And we've got triples and we've got twins, so there's an obvious engine configuration that's missing, and we've got the option of either a 250 or a 500 in that front. But I've always fancied a Victor MX, but it'd be a bit impractical, really. But it'd be nice to get one done in dove grey, although I don't think the B50s were ever in dove grey, because they started manufacturing those very late, not until May 1971. The B50s were the last to come out, and I think they'd already reverted to black frames by the time they started building the B50s. So I don't think, from a factory perspective, any B50s ever came out with a grey frame, but the brochure pictures show them with a grey frame. So if we do one, either a B50 or a B25, B25s were certainly grey initially, then they're going to have dove grey frames. Okay, that's it. So the final thing to mention and give you a bit of preview of is that there's been a few longer spells in between videos recently, and that's because I've been, as I say, working on a bit of a mini documentary. So what I'll do now to whet your appetite is to show you the introduction to that, and I'm hoping to have that out in the next 2 or 3 weeks or so, really, which hopefully will give you a bit of a potted history of, as I say, Bandits and Furies and these particular 3 bikes specifically. Okay, that's all for now, everyone. Thanks very much for watching, for interesting comments. Here's a quick preview of what's to come, and I'll see you all again soon. Cheers, bye-bye. Hello everyone, my name's Angus Campbell, and I'm sat here today in my man cave with 3 examples of 2 motorcycle models that were due to be put into production in 1971. These models being the Triumph Bandit and the BSA Fury. The interesting point is that neither model ever made it into production, and therefore what I'd like to do is provide a brief history of the models, and also tell you about these 3 surviving examples and what links them together. So I hope that sets the scene, and I hope you enjoy.